Previously on the Rod Pedersen Show.
The Seahawks and Broncos have agreed in principle on a trade sending 9-time Pro Bowl quarterback Russell Wilson to Denver for a massive haul, including multiple first-round draft picks, plus additional picks and players per sources. From Tom Pelissero, a trusted NFL source. Thank you, Clark, for notifying us of that. And here's the first thing that popped into my head. Last week, Pete Carroll said they're not trading Russell Wilson. Last week, we did a poll out of it.
Right.
And I felt guilty putting Russell Wilson's name in the poll. We had Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Russell Wilson, and who was the fourth? Wasn't Garoppolo, because you said he's gone no matter what. Doesn't matter.
Deshaun Watson.
Yeah, Deshaun Watson.
And Tom Brady.
Deshaun Watson won the poll. And this is why... Oh, my God. I'm having flashbacks, Moose.
Yeah.
To when we first started this show. Because the fans see what's out there, and I know what's really there. And I'm like, do you want me to sit here every day and talk about this stuff? For instance, like when Pete Carroll said it, I believed him. Like Ken Holland. We're comfortable with our goaltending.
Right.
How does he say it with a straight face?
Right.
And then Sean Simmer comes on here yesterday from TSN 1200 Ottawa and goes, he's got to say that. Why? Why can't you just be honest and say, our goalies are pretty iffy, actually. We're going to be in the market for a goalie at the trade deadline. Just say it.
Get ready for the Rod Pedersen Show.
Bet you Calvin Ridley's happy that Aaron Rodgers signed a $200 million four-year deal. Nobody's talking about Calvin Ridley anymore today.
No.
Because of Aaron Arash putting on Twitter, investing nearly $500 million into a quarterback with one Super Bowl appearance. Truly hilarious.
You know, when you think about that, it's about value, right? Are you bringing in a guy who's worth the money you're going to pay him, and can you bring enough pieces around him to put a championship team together?
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
It absolutely is. Good morning, Canada, and Canadian sports fans around the world. Welcome to the RP Show, coming to you live from the Stage Bar at the Grey Eagle Resort and Casino, Calgary's entertainment destination. And it's another really big day. We've got our closest friends with us today. One of our best friends, Theo Fleury, joining us here live. Let's get him on stage. How you doing, Theo?
I'm great. How are you?
Good. You've been down to the Grey Eagle, I assume, in the past?
Yeah, I've spent a few hours in this place. Back in
How
the
are
day.
you on the gambling thing?
I'm good now.
You're good now.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
It felt kind of weird walking in here. So
I bet. Well, I appreciate you coming down.
I was like, oh, there's the dice table right there.
You like that, eh? Back in the
Oh
day.
yeah, I love playing dice.
Pull that mic right up to your mouth there, Theo, if you don't mind. Yeah. So there you go. Theo Fleury with us today. Also coming up, Michael-Shawn Dugar of the Athletic Seattle. He's coming up in hour two. We're going to dig into the Russell Wilson trade. And before we go any further, you don't need to throw the graphic up, guys, but the poll question today for Capital Auto Mall Universal Collision Center is, who won the Russell Wilson trade yesterday? The Seattle Seahawks or the Denver Broncos? We just posted it, and last I saw 100% saying the Denver Broncos won it. So that's part of what we'll talk about with Michael-Shawn Dugar. And Dr. David Legg's coming up, professor from Mount Royal University, my alma mater, and former, past president of the Canadian Paralympic Committee. As the Paralympics continue in Beijing, we'll be talking about that. But we have a live studio audience. We've only been here a month, and we finally have the setup, Theo, that I wanted a month ago.
Yeah,
the speakers, you came at a perfect day.
Looks great.
Yes.
Should have brought my guitar.
We got a few here.
I see that.
That's going very well, too, I understand, hey? The music and your recording and...
Yeah, it's been fun. You know, I think that I guess, I'm always trying to lead by example, right? And, unfortunately, Carl Lewis wrecked it for all of us guys that are trying to be former professional athletes who became singers, you know?
Right.
He ruined it for
I didn't
us.
know he was a singer.
Well, did you remember?
I knew he was a runner.
But you remember when he tried to sing the anthem at the Chicago Bulls game?
It was terrible. That part, yeah.
That he destroyed any chance of us. But, you know, doing the album was so cathartic and so incredibly fun. You know, when I wrote the book, that was life-changing. And then, you know, I grew up around country music, like everybody.
Didn't we all? We're at home, yeah.
But I really grew up in country music because my whole entire family's very musical. My cousin Amber finished in the top 10 of Canadian Idol one year. So, and my fondest memories as a kid were sitting beside my grandpa, listening to him play the fiddle, and my dad was, you know, playing the guitar.
They were actually playing it.
Oh,
okay,
yeah,
I grew up listening to it.
No, we come from a very musical family, and so I had a friend in Winnipeg who's in the music industry, worked for Sony Records, and our dads used to play music together before we were even born. And this kid, Phil DeChambeau, was a phenom hockey player, really great hockey player. And 14 years old, his mom and dad bought him a guitar for Christmas. He quit playing hockey, locked himself in the bedroom, and learned how to play this guitar for 2 years, and then got into the music industry. So shortly after my book was released, I called him up and I said, "Would you be interested in writing a song with me?" And he's like, "Yeah, absolutely." So I went to Winnipeg and we spent a week together, and we wrote a song called "As the Story Goes," which is basically my life in a song. And I remember when he sent it back to me, when it was all done and mastered and everything, I listened to it and I was like, wow, this actually sounds pretty good.
It had a big sound?
Yeah. It sounds pretty good. So I called him. I said, "What do you think?" He goes, "Yeah, it's great." I said, "Well, do you want to keep doing this?" Because I said, I'm really loving it, right? So I would go back and forth to Winnipeg, and then I had a buddy here in Calgary, an Irish guy from Tyrone, Ireland. And, you know, we used to drink and party together back in the day. And the whole time we were, you know, doing our thing, I had no idea he was a musician.
Didn't come up.
So we both get sober. He comes over to my house one night. We sit in my basement and we write the title song for the album in 45 minutes. And so, you know, I spent about 6 years, you know, we probably wrote about 30 songs and then picked the 10 best songs. And there's an unbelievable recording studio in Langdon, outside of Calgary. And so we went there, we put this album together, and it turned out great. I think we've sold like 10,000 albums.
Wow.
Which is pretty amazing for the music industry because it's so competitive, right? And but yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
Well, it's congratulations on that. And the thing, it's like this show. It's competitive in what we do.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of it's because of the help of the Calgary sports community, of which you're one, and Saskatchewan sports community, and I appreciate you coming down. But I knew this was going to be it, folks. I didn't even get a chance to say. We're going to break with the usual format, which I generally loathe. But I'll get to my quick six show topics later once Theo adjourns, because he's got places to go. Look at, he's all dressed up. There's a brand new chapter in the next unfolding, fascinating life of Theo Fleury. And what a lot of people don't understand, Theo, you and I have had these long talks, there is more to life than sports,
Yes.
you know, and all that. And we will get to that. But it is a sports show, so I do. And entertainment, as Lee reminds me, because yesterday I had the keyboardist on from Foreigner.
Oh,
There
nice.
comes, that was really cool.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, I don't interview guys like that very often.
That's cool.
But I want to jump out to this. Alex Ovechkin last night booed in the Saddle Dome pretty much every time he touched the puck. And I've been going off about this, railing on this. I think it's media-driven. I think, you know, people don't like to think for themselves. They see that, oh, we should be down on Ovi, so let's boo Ovi.
Right.
And he shrugged it off and went out and scored twice, as you saw, and they won. The Caps won in Calgary last night, 5-4. And you and I have talked about you being booed back in the day. You just rolls off your shoulders. Clearly it rolled off Ovi's.
Yeah.
But I still thought it was wrong.
Well, I hope that they were booing because he was beating the Flames.
You know that's not why.
But
you know that's not why.
yeah, but I don't understand what Ovi has to do with, what's happening. Obviously, Ovechkin's been probably one of the greatest players to ever play our game. He has an incredible opportunity to become the greatest goal scorer of our lifetime. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's unfortunate when politics and sports sort of meld and come together. But I got a great story. So my wife works with a guy from Russia. Came over to Canada, and
your wife's Belarusian, is she not?
She's Belarusian, yeah.
Yeah. Belarusian. Sorry if I said it wrong.
Yeah, and so he asked my wife because his son was a big Ovechkin fan, and she said, or the guy asked, "Can we go down to the Saddle Dome and watch the Capitals morning skate?" I'm like, "Yeah, let's go." So we go down there, and I call Peter Hamlin and say, I have this kid who's a big Ovechkin fan. Is there a chance we can meet him after the morning skate? And Peter's like, yeah, absolutely. So after the morning skate, I go down, and there's Ovi. And I'm looking at him, and he's got yellow laces and a tinted visor. And I say to him, you have a tinted visor and you have yellow laces? I go, where did you get that idea? And he's like, from you.
Yeah.
And then he asked me for a stick, like an autographed stick of mine. And I don't have any sticks. I haven't played hockey.
You go to Canadian Tire.
I haven't played hockey for a long time. But, he told me, he said, I was a big fan of yours, and I love the way that you played. And, and he says, how are you doing? How's life? And, really concerned. And, and I thought, that was really kind of cool that I sort of inspired him to, wear the tinted visor and the yellow laces. So, and I thought he was a really sweet, kind, caring guy, because he asked me about my life because he knows my story, right? So, it was really kind of cool to see that side of somebody that probably nobody gets the opportunity to see, and You know why guys have success is because they respect people, they appreciate the fans, and they're kind to everybody. And that kid got to meet his idol, and Ovi bent over backwards to make this kid have the best possible experience of his life, and that's what sports is all about. And I understand that he's probably in a really difficult situation, but it's not his fault. It's not his fault. And, politics and sports have no business being in the same sentence or the same place. And, but, we live in such a divisive environment that, we're forced to choose sides when I would say the majority of people just want to be in the middle. And, they want to have freedom of choice, freedom of speech, all of these things. And slowly but surely that's been taken away.
Well, and that's why I was upset for Ovi, because I've never met him, been around him. The Caps people swear by him. They wouldn't have made him a captain if they didn't believe in him, right, and all of that. And it just bothered me that he was being booed last night for all the things that you've just said. Right. He doesn't deserve any of this.
It's not his responsibility. His responsibility is to the Washington Capitals, the team that pays him a lot of money to perform. And what did he do last night? He went out and did exactly what he's been doing for the last almost 20 years, and that's helping his team win a hockey game.
We will. We had a few more minutes in this segment. The next we'll get into a little more hockey stuff. But the thing is, Theo and I went through a recovery coach training academy last May. And when it was over, you and I stayed on the Zoom for a while, and we talked about the world. And you said, it's never coming back, Rod. It's too far gone. And I'm like, Theo, I can't believe that. Mm-hmm. I don't want to believe that it's too far gone. I got to think it's going to come back.
Right.
But you still think it's too far gone.
No, I always have hope.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, absolutely.
Good.
I always have hope.
Good.
It's just a matter of the collective, we need to get together and put our foot down and say, you know what, my philosophy in life is, as a citizen of Canada, I have 3 responsibilities: pay my taxes, vote, and stay out of jail. And other than that, I do not need the government making choices and decisions on my behalf. I'm very capable of looking after myself, and I'm also capable of looking after the less fortunate, because I've spent the majority of my life doing charity work, and it's probably the greatest joy I have in my life is helping less fortunate people, whether that's dealing with their trauma or their homelessness or whatever it is. And so the game blessed me with a lot of opportunities and allowed me to have the voice that I have today. And so my allegiance is to humanity. It's not to politicians, right? And that's why I've been so vocal, right? I've been so vocal because, I made a promise to myself a long time ago that if I saw abuse, that I was going to call it out, right? And that's the reason why I've sort of dug my heels in on that side of the line. And, I'm talking about, because so many people reach out to me, Rod, in the last 2 years who are struggling mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually. And, I've been able to connect the dots with them, especially abuse survivors, because that's what it is. The same tactics that my abuser used against me, so coercion, manipulation, all of these things, well, that's the exact same thing that the government is doing to us. And, I even had my own struggles early on in the pandemic, and I couldn't put my finger on it. And then, I went to my therapist and we talked about it, and she goes, it's very similar, the two. And so all of your abuse stuff has come back into your life. And when I was able to connect the dots, then I know what to do after that. I know how to deal with the depression, the anxiety, the fear, all that stuff, right? And most times when that happens, it's just a sign to get back to your spiritual way of dealing with life, right? And because spirituality, especially in recovery, is probably the most important piece.
Number one.
That keeps us, on the path one day at a time.
Absolutely. I love it. Good for you. And then you paid it forward with helping others.
Yeah, absolutely. That's how you stay in recovery for long periods of time is whatever you get, you got to give it away, because why would you go through all of the crap that you've gone through if you're not going to share that experience, strength, and hope with somebody else?
Unfortunately, it's such a secret, but it's not to us. If everybody did, maybe that's how we can get the world back, Theo.
Well, I there's no doubt that the planet is traumatized, right? And I think we all at some point in our life experience some sort of trauma, okay? And COVID-19 has been the most traumatic thing that's happened since World War II. So we already have a traumatized society. We have added another layer of trauma. And then, we've isolated people. We've taken away community. So you can't go to church. All the rinks were basically shut down. And so as somebody who struggles with mental illness, where's the worst place you can be if you experience mental illness? Well, right here.
Yeah.
Right?
In your own head, and you're forced to be in it.
And you're forced to be in it. And so if you can get into your heart space, that's where all the good stuff is. Compassion, empathy, forgiveness, love, caring, all those things. And so, if you can get out of your own head and get into your heart space, that's where the healing is. That's where all the truth is. That's where all the answers, lie.
Folks, write this down. It's a manual here, what Theo is saying. And by the way, you're noticing the staff here, Theo, Grey Eagles congregating in front. I've said to the folks, we could make a real nice living as the house entertainment for the staff here.
Absolutely.
It's the greatest thing. They treat us so wonderfully. So when we come back, we'll get into a little more of the hockey stuff. But I knew this is what we needed to discuss in this opening segment with Theo in the warm-up. On the way, Mike Dugar, from the Athletics Seattle to talk about the Russell Wilson trade. David Legg, past president, Canadian Paralympic Committee. We'll be right back. You're watching on the Game Plus TV network across all 10 provinces in 31 states. Live streaming on YouTube and 24-hour sports radio at rodpeterson.com.
Head to youtube.com/The Rod Peterson Show now. You gotta subscribe. Click the subscribe button for all the content you may have missed.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
Grey Eagle Resort and Casino.
A new year means a new you. Pick up a new ride to match at Capital Ford for 2022. Custom order the perfect vehicle for you, or check out our in-stock F-150s on the lot right now. Get into a pre-owned vehicle that's already on the lot and ready to roll. We need your used vehicle too. We pay big and you don't even have to buy from us. Plus, our service department is always here to help. Get special pricing on name brand tires, tire storage, maintenance, and more. And we always offer free vehicle pickup and delivery. Start the new year right at Capital Ford Lincoln in Regina.
Lot of sun, smoky in the air, that's a lot of fun. Big time, big time, big time, big time.
People donate blood for moments like this.
But there are lots of reasons why Canada's Lifeline needs donors every day.
Like the fact that someone with leukemia can need up to 8 units of blood a week.
Or that donated blood lasts no longer than 42 days.
Or to help new moms and babies, like Henry.
There's lots of reasons to donate blood. That's why we need donors every day.
The need for blood is constant. Join Toyota and our Toyota dealers in supporting Canada's Lifeline.
Some of the challenges we face with the CT technology that we have today is some of the deficiencies in around integration with some of our other systems. The addition of 2 new 4D simulators within the programming of the Saskatchewan Cancer Agency is going to have significant impact on the care we provide to the people of Saskatchewan.
Alice Cooper, the godfather of shock rock, is back. With special guest Buck Cherry. Mosaic Place, Sunday, April 10th. Get tickets now at mosaicplace.ca and sasktix.ca.
Hey Rod Squad, now you can join the team with your very own RP Show gear. Head to rodpetersonshop.com and get yours today while supplies last. It's just like we wear on the show, official RP Show gear at rodpetersonshop.com.
Are looking live at Grey Eagle Resort and Casino. Aerial coverage provided by Bronco Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Theo Fleury is with us. 1,084 NHL games, 455 Genos, 1,088 points. How about that? And Olympic gold as well. From our viewers, Hank is watching on YouTube. He says, thank you, Theo Fleury, thank you, and Rod for saying it as it is. Stacy Champagne is watching at Access World Headquarters and said, what Theo said is bang on. Couldn't have worded that any better. Jeff Cabillas in Winnipeg says, keep doing what you do, Theo. And you too, Rod, need more people out there helping out like you do. From my cousin Christine in Medicine Hat, she says, love the way Theo would take the puck and go hard to the net. Very entertaining. And I have to mention, Theo, that I got the scores here from the dub last night. The Warriors did not play. I'll have to dig it up here. The Winnipeg Ice, was it the Calgary Hitmen they beat last night 2-0?
James Patrick.
Jeep, he's doing a great job. Tanner Brown and Benjamin Zalotti each scored as Winnipeg down Calgary 2-0. Though it didn't produce much scoring, the Ice dominated the Hitmen offensively, outshooting them 37-14. Calgary goalie Braden Peters made 35 saves in the loss. Taryn Fizer scored 2 goals and assisted on 2 others as the Victoria Royals snapped Portland's 5-game win streak with a 5-3 victory. And Evan Herman scored 2 goals, and Tychon Cheka stopped all 23 shots he faced as Prince Albert blanked Lethbridge 4-0. I read the junior scores because we're on in their dressing rooms every morning, Theo. They tell me that. And I want to bring up the Warriors.
So last weekend, 2 weekends ago, I was in Regina, and we played a couple of hockey games.
You're still going, eh?
On Ochap and Pee-Pee Kisses.
Mm-hmm.
And 4 of the greatest junior hockey players of all time were together. So Cliff Ronning, Danny Hodson, Kenny Yaremchuk, and Theo Fleury.
Wow.
So it was kind of cool to be around.
What was the event? What was it? What were you doing?
Have you ever heard of the Rammer All-Stars?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it was with Merv Bondarchuk, and we went and played a couple games out there, and went to Ethan Bear's community.
Hometown, yeah.
What an unbelievable facility they got out there. It's absolutely gorgeous, and we had so much fun, and it was good to be around the guys and be in the dressing room, and it was fun.
Ken Yaremchuk, Portland Winterhawks, great, right? All those guys.
Mm-hmm.
But so Theo was saying Jagger Furcus has caught Theo's attention of the Moose Jaw Warriors.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You think your record's going to fall?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I hope it does.
You're okay with that? Yeah. Records are made to be broken,
right?
Absolutely.
Well, how long had that record been around? Almost 40 years. So it's hard to believe, that my first year in the Western Hockey League was 40 years ago, and what people don't understand is I was 5'3", 125 pounds when I played my first year in the Western League, and I had 29 goals and 75 points, my first year in the dub, and all of the heavyweights that became the heavyweights in the NHL, we're all playing in the Western. Craig Berube, Ken Baumgartner,
Grimmer.
Dave Manson, Grimmer, Wendell Clark was running around in that little barn.
You just missed Dave Brown, did you not?
I missed, but I played against him when we were in the Battle of Alberta. So, it was an interesting year, and I survived, which was pretty good. But I just remember that Moose Jaw team. And three of the guys that played in my era became captains in the NHL. And I think 5 of us won Stanley Cups. Odeline, Buckberger, Keane, Jim McKenzie, and myself all won Stanley Cups coming out of Moose Jaw. So, obviously Braden Point has had a huge impact. Troy Brower.
Chicago,
there's been a lot of great players that have gone through the Moose Jaw Warriors organization, and I still go back every summer and play in the golf tournament, and what a great community, what a great place to.
Yeah, we just had the ads running in the commercial break. I'm like, did they just buy commercials? Mosaic, good, thank you, Moose Jaw.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, I was there a couple years ago, and James Gallo, threw me a pullover, a Warrior quarter zip, which that's my thing, and I slid it on, and I'm like, ooh, this feels good.
Yeah.
There's a lot of pride there to wear that, the Warrior thing. By the way, Lee sent me a thing here the other day about you and Proby. What was it, Bob Probert Memories or something? It was a Twitter account. Did you see this?
I saw it.
You did?
And of course they took it completely out of context.
Okay. So Theo lined up against Proby and wanted to fight him.
No.
That was the sense of the...
Jokingly. I would jokingly say that to him. I would be like, hey, Proby, you and me tonight at center ice. And he'd just start laughing.
And he said, you would, wouldn't you? You're crazy enough to do it.
I go, the last thing I'd be doing is dropping my stick and my gloves, that's for sure.
So they got it wrong all these years.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Proby's not around to straighten that out.
Right. Right.
But I had a chat yesterday. I mentioned your 455 goals, Lanny's 500, right on the nose. he talked about the natural goal scorers now. And I'm loving that I can have the same chat with you today. How the game's changed. You and him were in an era, like he said, the hooking, the rodeos. Now you can't do that.
Yeah.
But the numbers are similar, right? So would you have had more now in an unobstructed game? You must have. You would, I would think.
I would think probably would get more opportunities to score. But, you know, when we broke into the game, you know, the goalies were the worst athletes on the team. And now they're the best athletes. And, you know, the way they train, you know, the coaching that they get, you know, and they're big. Like, they're big guys, you know. You look at a guy like Mike Vernon, who, you know, was a Hall of Fame goalie, who, you know, was my size, played in that era, right? So, you know, everybody asks me, what would you do now? And I'm like, I don't want to think about it, because I believe that I played in the greatest era of superstars.
Oh, there's no doubt.
You know, the game has ever seen, right? And I got an opportunity to play with and play against all those guys. And you know, one of the things that I've taken away from my time and my experience was, you know, I got to hang around with Wayne Gretzky. I got to hang around with Mario. I got to hang around with Joe Sakic and Steve Yzerman, who I think probably a mess. You know, the 5 greatest leaders of our era. And I got to watch them and how they led people, you know. And, you know, me sort of stepping out of the hockey world and becoming a leader in the trauma, mental health, and addiction space. You know, I've taken those lessons and learned from them.
Very transferable, aren't
they? It's very transferable. But each one of those guys was very humble, very caring, and was a great communicator and led by example, you know, and they were kind, and they made everybody feel a part of what was going on, right? And so those qualities in the space that I'm in right now have served me really well, and so it was great to be around those guys and to learn, just to learn and observe, right?
Man, I'm just enjoying sitting here listening to you talk. I don't know where to go from here. You know, it's nice because, you know, I was talking to Lanny about you yesterday, and he said Theo's doing great. And I would say to anybody watching, Theo's doing great. And when I went to your house, because Lanny said he hadn't been to your house. How long have you been in that house?
4 years.
Yeah, not that long.
No.
Because he's been on the same spot since 82.
Yeah, I know.
He said.
Yeah.
He goes, how's Theo's house? I said, oh, it's a mansion. I said, Theo, how tall are your doors? Like 10 feet?
Yeah.
Yeah. Theo peeks out from behind the door, little Theo, and he saw my face. I'm just looking like this, and he goes, oh, I didn't spend it all. You'd be very proud of that house. You must be.
For sure. You know,
Yeah.
I made some bad choices, made some bad decisions with my money, but you know, one thing I've learned in life, and especially growing up on the prairies, right? You know, the old adage of, you know, the harder I work, the luckier I get, right? And it was the same for me in hockey as well. You know, I was a really hardworking guy. I loved to compete, and you know, when I left the game, that attitude didn't leave me, right? And so I've had lots of really great opportunities over the last probably 15 years, and you know, I've really made the most of it. And you know, I have a wife who is an incredibly hard worker too. She has a great job, and you know, our house is our sanctuary, and she's an incredible designer, and you know, we love our house, and we don't go on vacation, so you know, our house is like our vacation spot.
Yeah, but it is a resort though, Theo.
Yeah, and it should be.
Right, steam room, sauna, hot tub, dog shower, right? By the way, just before I move on, that Nespresso thing you got in the back, they have one here at the event center, so they call it Theo's Special Coffee. Because for weeks you were saying, come over, have a special coffee. What's so special about this coffee? It's Nespresso, which it is special. Yeah. But I thought it would take like an hour to brew or something, and you're going to grind up the beans and something special.
No.
Two last things before I ask about this new opportunity for you. The Agrodome 1985, 86, when you got kicked out of the game.
Yeah.
I don't think I ever asked you about this.
Mm-hmm.
And you went off the rubber mat with your skates, and you're swinging your stick and lashing at the people who had their hands. I was there, Theo.
Yep.
Did you care if you broke anybody's hands?
No.
Like you did? You blacked out, it seemed.
Yeah, well, you got to remember that, I lived a lot of my life with a lot of anger and rage.
Yeah,
right.
so it came out.
It just came out, and there was like this group of fans in Regina that were absolutely relentless every time I was there, and they were bullies,
Sure.
and it was my last game in the Agrodome, and I said, you know what, these fans don't deserve to see me play one last game, and so I said to the ref, I go, you got to kick me out of the game.
And he did.
He's like, what do you do? What do you mean? I go, I don't want to play tonight. And so
it was insane.
And so as I was going off the ice, of course, this was the last time that these three dudes were going to get to tear a strip off me. And so you know what I did? After I left, after that incident, I got undressed really quick. And I went up into the stands because I wanted to confront this guy who for 4 years, called me every name in the book and all this stuff. And, I wanted a piece of him, And Eddie Staniowski, who was our assistant coach, caught wind that I was going. And he comes flying, running down the hall, and he grabs me because I was not too far from this van. And he grabbed me and got me out of there. Otherwise, it would have been an ugly scene.
They call him Steady Eddie for a reason.
Yeah. But
not just goaltending.
But you know what? That rivalry with Regina really made me the player that I was. And there was nothing better than a Saturday night at the Agrodome or in the Crush Can. It was more fun in the Crush Can because there was
that may be for you.
There was 3,500 seats, but there was 5,000 people in that rink every time we played against Regina. And, what it really did is it prepared me for the Battle of Alberta when I came to Calgary. And I think the biggest reason why I made the Calgary Flames is because I played so well against the Edmonton Oilers. Like I scored my first 2 NHL goals against Grant Fuhr on Hockey Night in Canada against the Edmonton Oilers at the Saddledome. And the rest is basically history. All those stats and everything came from that. But, I always prided myself on, the bigger the game, the better I play.
That's the greats, though.
Right?
Not everybody can do that, Theo. You know that.
But as an elite athlete, those are the games that you want to play in because you find out so much about yourself and you find out, is there more underneath all of this that I can dig into? My greatest attribute as a player was I competed at the highest level every single night. And that's the reason why a guy like me who's 5'6", 150 pounds had success is because I competed at the highest level.
And I was proud to watch it.
I don't see that enough in the players that play the game. Like I look at Braden Point. Yeah, he competes at the highest level. Brad Marchand competes at the highest level where winning is the only goal, right? You look at a guy like Austin Matthews right now. He's lighting the league up. But guess what? The playoffs is a whole different.
He's got more to give.
It's a whole different and people are saying he's the greatest Toronto Maple Leaf of all time. I'm like, no, he's not until he wins a Stanley Cup.
Who said that? I haven't heard that yet.
The Spit and Chicklets guys.
Hey.
They're
too young, I guess.
And it's like, no, the reason why we play the game is to win. That's why you get paid $10 million a year is to win a Stanley Cup. And, that group in Toronto, the group here in Calgary, the group in Edmonton, they haven't accomplished that yet. And, the reason why I'm sitting here today is, I have a World Junior, a Stanley Cup, Olympic gold medal, Canada Cup, all these things. And, that's the greatest pride that I have in my life is that when people look at me, they say, yeah, this guy was a winner. This guy, put his body and his life on the line every single night to accomplish the goal, which is winning.
You did.
Right?
In 30 seconds, because I got to go, and you got to go, what you're doing now with a suit.
Yes. So I've been given a great opportunity by a company called First Merchants Capital Partners. They made me the president of their company a month ago, and we're in the corporate finance world. And so basically anybody can come to us with a problem, whether that's marketing, sales, tax structures, real estate, money, whatever it is, and we can solve that problem. And it's been incredibly exciting. My brain is working again, because basically for 2 years I sat in my 300 square feet of my bedroom, spending the whole entire time thinking in my head, where's my life going? Where's my life headed? Where's the next chapter of my life? And, I go to a function in Edmonton and I meet this guy named Dale Light, and we sit down at a table and he starts talking about neuroscience, and I'm like, neuroscience and financial corporate structure, but we have a little thing we call the conscious capitalism, where we want to heal people in the corporate environment, and that's where my role is to come in and help people deal with their with their issues, which then is going to improve, the quality and the team of a corporate environment. And so, I'm really excited about, the next chapter of my life and where this is all headed.
Isn't it amazing how life works? And they couldn't have hired a better guy. Love you, Theo. Thanks for coming down.
Love you
for all
too,
you
man.
do. All
Yeah,
right. The great
appreciate
Theo Fleury, everybody. We'll be right back to Grey Eagle Resort and Casino after this break. You're watching on Game Plus TV and 24-hour sports radio at rodpeterson.com.
Head to youtube.com/The Rod Peterson Show now. You gotta subscribe. Click the subscribe button for all the content you may have missed.
Smoky in the air, that's a lot of pine. Big time, big time, big time, big time.
Bronco Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Experts in all residential and commercial plumbing services, and proudly serving Regina and area since 1978. Bronco Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. We'll treat you right. Universal Collision Center is Saskatchewan's premier auto body shop. Our extensive process ensures that every vehicle that comes through our state-of-the-art facilities is returned pre-accident condition, and that every UCC customer experience is an easy one. We're certified to repair all makes, all models, and all luxury brands, and Universal Auto Spa offers full-service detailing packages to suit you and your vehicle. Plus, we're the official body shop of your Saskatchewan Rough Riders. Universal Collision Center, 3910 Rochdale Boulevard and 2355 First Avenue in Regina.
Don't rack your brain trying to source the equipment and materials you need for your business. Rockstar can operate your entire supply chain, from PO creation to expediting your shipments, all from our office. Leverage the buying power of the Rockstar buying group to not only save money and time, but also the headache. From gloves to glue, we can provide it for you. Find out more at rockstar.com.
Grey Eagle Resort and Casino.
Legend throws 713 yards in a single pro football game.
A legend wins 3 Grey Cup MVP awards.
Allen looking deep. A legend scores 1,209 points in 1,127 NHL games. Play among legends at betregal.net.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Another beautiful morning here on the gateway to the foothills. Grey Eagle Resort and Casino, Calgary's entertainment destination. Check out their website at greyeagleresortandcasino.com for room availability, upcoming entertainment, and what a great chat with Theo. He's just rolling off the stage here. We are live at the Stage Bar before a live studio audience, and for a variety of reasons, it finally got until this week, actually today, that we got the setup that I always wanted. And that was sound system, speakers, but there was business you got to take care of. And also there's a big conference next door in the event center where we were for the last month. So now being out here, I hope we stay. I'm not interested in leaving. Joe Lazito is watching on Long Island right now, the host of the Coliseum Chronicles podcast and a hero in life down there in Long Island. He says, Theo, loved you as a Flame, hated you as a Ranger, and I'm very happy that you've come so far. Keep the train going. Choo-choo. I read that to him before he left, Joe, and he got it. Patrolman Pete watching in Winnipeg says, that was an enjoyable talk with Theo. I especially enjoyed his reminiscing about the WHL rivalry with the Pats and how that shaped him as an NHL player. Whoever the viewer was that said the other day he could sit and listen to hockey stories all day, and I think that's what we might want to do. What do you think? And football stories too. Andrew Stute watching says, well said, Rod. The Leafs won't ever win because the Stars will never do what it takes to win it all. We'll see. I'm just saying they got a lot of proving to do. I'm just shocked that they're saying that Austin Matthews is the greatest Leaf ever. What? And that's coming from the Spit and Chicklets guys? I didn't know that they said that. I guess I need to get listening again. But if that's what they're going to say, maybe I don't want to listen. Have we heard of Wendell Clark? George Armstrong? Dave Keon, thank you. Hank, watching on YouTube, says, it's nice to a man who held a Warriors record nearly 40 years ago, readily accepting of passing the torch should it happen with the next generational star. Thank you for noticing, Hank. Yeah, Jagger Firkus is on the verge of breaking Theo Fleury's record for goals by a rookie. And Theo is there to applaud the young man, Jagger Firkus. Or is it Braden Jagger? I think it's Firkus. They got two great young studs there. Jack Fulton watching from Vulcan, Alberta. Theo, those great opportunities that you speak of as a result of your hard work and heart. Yeah. Playing with fire, as they say. Takona Powley watching in Winnipeg says, late to the show, I'm going to need a rewind to hear Theo. Well, on YouTube, you can rewind it, or I would suggest that you use your PVR and tape the show every day. We've been on Game Plus every day now for weeks, not preempted for Blast Premiere, and that makes a lot of people very happy. Holy smokes. We got to take a break already. We went a little long with Theo. When we come back, we'll get into a sports update and talk about all the things that we would have normally opened the show with in the Quick Six show topics. I want to remind you, coming up in hour two, Michael-Shawn Dugar from the Athletic Seattle to talk about the Russell Wilson trade. And the poll question today is for Capital Auto Mall, Universal Collision Center, who is winning the trade? Clark, do we have a sample size, by the way, on Twitter? Again, last I saw, 100% said the Denver Broncos were winning. Okay, that's fine. That's enough. 56% now say the Denver Broncos are winning the trade. And I want to debate that with you. 64% on Twitter saying the same thing, that the Denver Broncos are winning. And there's a school of thought that whoever gets the best player in the trade wins. I've never subscribed to that. Have you heard that? That came to me. Somebody said that recently. I thought, it was Jeff O'Neill, actually. The O-Dog. I'm not sure that I agree with that, but I could see why you would think that. So we'll talk about that and more when we return. And also David Legg coming up. Dr. David Legg from Mount Royal University, past president of the Canadian Paralympic Committee, to talk about what's going on in Beijing right now. It's the RP Show. We're live from Grey Eagle Resort and Casino. You are watching on Game Plus Television. If you missed any portion of the show, you can always listen to the podcast wherever you find your favorite podcasts, including Apple, Stitcher, and Spotify.
Have you subscribed to The Rod Pedersen Show YouTube channel yet? Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now.
Grey Eagle Resort and Casino.
Some of the challenges we face with the CT technology that we have today is some of the deficiencies in around integration with some of our other systems. The addition of 2 new 4D simulators within the programming, the Saskatchewan Cancer Agency is going to have significant impact on the care we provide to the people of Saskatchewan.
Bronco Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Experts in all residential and commercial plumbing services and proudly serving Regina and area since 1978. Bronco Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. We'll treat you right. A new year means a new you. Pick up a new ride to match at Capital GMC for 2022. Custom order the perfect vehicle for you or reserve a unit that's already on its way. Get into a GM certified pre-owned vehicle that's on our lot and ready to roll. We need your used vehicle too. We pay big and you don't even have to buy from us. Plus, our service department is always here to help. Get special pricing on name brand tires, tire storage, maintenance, and more. And we always offer free vehicle pickup and delivery. Start the new year right at Capital GMC in Regina.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Lot of sun, smoky in the air, that's a lot of time. And big time, big time, big time.
A legend throws 713 yards in a single pro football game.
A legend wins 3 Grey Cup MVP awards.
Allen looking deep. A legend scores 1,209 points in 1,127 NHL games. Play among legends at betregal.net.
Hey Rod Squad, now you can join the team with your very own RP Show gear. Head to rodpetersenshop.com and get yours today while supplies last. It's just like we wear on the show, official RP Show gear at rodpetersenshop.com.
Live from Grey Eagle Resort and Casino, it's the place to be as always with episode number 712 of Daytime sports and entertainment talk. This is Calgary's entertainment destination. And as we come to near the end of hour one, it's just like a woo-saw. It's been a tsunami this first hour, a fantastic one with Theo, of course, but I'm trying to get to your comments, the viewers, and get ready for the next hour and talk about sponsor things and all the rest. But listen, we didn't even do the Quick Six show topics. Is Jordan near the buzzer? Can we hit the Quick Six? Hey, there it is. So let's start with Tuesday NHL one-timers. Alex Ovechkin scored twice and moved into a tie for third place on the NHL's career goals list, and Nick Dowd scored the go-ahead goal as the Washington Capitals rallied in the third period and beat the Calgary Flames 5-4 in the Saddledome. We were there. Ovi's second goal into an empty net with 1:48 to go was his 766th career goal, tying him with Jaromir Jagr for third in NHL history. Now it's just Wayne and Gordy ahead. Is he going to make it? Isn't that the $64,000 question? Nowhere in this summary does it say that Ovi was booed every time he touched the puck. We talked about that lengthily with Theo earlier on, and it's in my commentary today if you want to know my thoughts. Adam Ruzicka, Oliver Shillington, and Elias Lindholm scored for Calgary, which had their 13-game unbeaten streak snapped on home ice. Over in Winnipeg, Paul Stastny scored twice to lead Winnipeg past Tampa Bay 7-4. Mark Scheifele had a goal and 3 assists, and Josh Morrissey, Pierre-Luc Dubois, and Adam Lowry also scored for Winnipeg. Stastny and Kyle Connor scored into an empty net late. Connor Hellebuck stopped 20 of 24 shots. In Toronto, apparently the greatest Leaf ever, Austin Matthews had his third hat trick of the season to raise his NHL leading goal total to 43 as Toronto rallied to beat Seattle 6-4. I feel like I'm the wrong guy to be sitting here talking about this because I'm not a Leaf fan and never will be. Clark, who's the greatest Leaf ever? If you said Matt Sundin, I would have time for you. Who is it? Davey Keon. Okay, that's from producer Clark. Austin, man. Get out of here with this.
How about that?
Mitch Marner scored the tie-breaking goal midway through the third, and Willie Nylander and John Tavares each added a goal and an assist for Toronto, which got 26 saves from Jack Campbell. How about this? In Newark, Nathan Bastian scored a power play goal with 6:56 to go to put New Jersey on top as the Devils rallied from a 3-goal deficit to beat Colorado 5-3. That was the first loss for the Avs all year long when they led after 2 periods. They were after the first period. They were 23-0 this season, and they blew it. In Detroit, Nick Schmaltz followed his franchise record 7-point game with 2 goals and 2 helpers, and Arizona overwhelmed Detroit 9-2. Where are all these goals coming from? In St. Paul, Kevin Fiala scored twice in the second period. Marcus Foligno added a goal and 2 helpers, and Minnesota upset the Rangers 5-2. Few more games. Roman Josi scored with 1:22 to go to give Nashville a 2-1 win over Dallas. Last minute of play in hour one. Anthony Duclair scored the tie-breaking goal in the second period, and Carter Verhaeghe added an insurance goal in the third as Florida beat Pittsburgh 4-3. Tim Stützle and Josh Norris each scored a power play goal. Ottawa beat the St. Louis Blues 4-1 to snap a 5-game slide. Philly beat Canada's team, the Vegas Golden Knights, 2-1. When are we going to start talking about Vegas? They are not who we thought they were. And Patrick Kane had a goal and 5 assists for a career-high 6 points. Chicago beat a banged-up Anaheim team 8-3. Again, goals night. I think you might want to start taking the over for BetRegal.ca. Next hour, we will break down the Russell Wilson trade. I got the NHL top 5, bottom 5. We have yet to talk about the Brier and some special guests. Stick around. Hour 2 coming up right after this break here on Game Plus TV.
Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now. You gotta subscribe. Click the subscribe button for all the content you may have missed.
A legend throws 713 yards in a single pro football game.
A legend wins 3 Grey Cup MVP awards.
Allen looking deep. A legend scores 1,209 points in 1,127 NHL games. Play among legends at BetRegal.net.
Smoky in the air, that's a lot of pine. Oh, big time, big time, big time, big time.
Universal Collision Center is Saskatchewan's premier auto body shop. Our extensive process ensures that every vehicle that comes through our state-of-the-art facilities is returned pre-accident condition, and that every UCC customer experience is an easy one. We're certified to repair all makes, all models, and all luxury brands, and Universal Auto Spa offers full-service detailing packages to suit you and your vehicle. Plus, we're the official body shop of your Saskatchewan Rough Riders. Universal Collision Center, 3910 Rochdale Boulevard and 2355 First Avenue in Regina.
Don't rack your brain trying to source the equipment and materials you need for your business. Rockstar can operate your entire supply chain, from PO creation to expediting your shipments, all from our office. Leverage the buying power of the Rockstar buying group to not only save money and time, but also the headache. From gloves to glue, we can provide it for you. Find out more at rockstar.com.
Grey Eagle Resort and Casino.
Bronco Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Experts in all residential and commercial plumbing services, and proudly serving Regina and area since 1978. Bronco Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. We'll treat you right.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Bet you Calvin Ridley's happy that Aaron Rodgers signed a $200 million 4-year deal. Nobody's talking about Calvin Ridley anymore today.
No.
Because of Aaron Arash putting on Twitter, investing nearly $500 million into a quarterback with one Super Bowl appearance. Truly hilarious.
You know, when you think about that, it's about value, right? Are you bringing in a guy who's worth the money you're going to pay him, and can you bring enough pieces around him to put a championship team together?
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
It is. Hello, Canada and Canadian sports fans in the United States of America. Welcome to the RP Show. It is Hour 2, proudly presented by our friends at Great Western Original 16 Beer, the best beer in the game. We are live from Grey Eagle Resort and Casino, and what a show. Theo Fleury was with us in Hour 1. He of the 1,088 NHL points in 1,084 NHL games. You're going to want to go back and watch that if you missed it. Our next guest I'm going to get to in a moment, and I appreciate him joining us from Seattle, Michael-Shawn Dugar from the Athletic Seattle, to talk about the Russell Wilson trade. But I'll remind him and the viewers that this is primarily Canada's daytime sports and entertainment show. So I got to get into some scores from Draw 13 from the Briar just down the road in Lethbridge, Alberta, okay? Because people are getting very excited in the homeland about what's happening with the Saskatchewan teams. Just off the ice, Saskatchewan's Colton Flash won 12-3 over Yukon to improve to 4-2. Team Canada's Brendan Botcher has a 7-6 lead over Team Wildcard 2, Team Dunstone. 7-6, they're playing the 10th. Matt Dunstone looking to go to 7-0. And a final, New Brunswick's James Grattan over PEI, 9-3. And they're playing the 10th, Glenn Howard of Ontario, a 7-3 lead over Newfoundland Labrador's Young, 7-3. So 2 scores in from Draw 13 this afternoon. And coming up, our vaunted NHL top 5, bottom 5, which we didn't get to last hour because of our chat with Theo. Very welcome interruption there. So, again, Michael-Shawn Dugar covers the Seahawks for The Athletic out of Seattle. Mike joins us today from the Emerald City to talk about this trade. And, Mike, I appreciate the time. Our poll question today is who won this trade? The Denver Broncos for getting Russell Wilson, clearly the best player, or the Seattle Seahawks, who have kickstarted the rebuild with just an amazing bundle of picks and players? How would you answer that question, sir?
Thanks for having me, man. Quick correction. Last name Dugar. Just to throw that out there.
Okay.
Quick. To answer your question, though, I think that the team that gets, put it this way, at a time when teams are talking themselves into potentially giving up assets for the right to start Carson Wentz or Jimmy Garoppolo, I think the team that gets a 9-time Pro Bowl quarterback who is, 33, they win any trade. You just do. Quarterbacks are too scarce right now, and the good ones, the consistent ones, are just so hard to find. And when you don't have a quarterback, chances are you're going to get fired in the near future. So I think the Broncos won this trade by a mile, and there's really no other way to put it.
Wow, I appreciate the insight. That is tremendous insight, and I guess it goes with that adage, that the one that I just learned recently, whoever gets the best player in the trade wins the trade. And of course, it's too early to make that declaration, but I like the way you think. But please tell me how and why just last week Seahawks coach Pete Carroll said they're not trading Russell Wilson, and a week later he's gone. What happened there?
Yeah, I think a lot of people heard what they wanted to hear with Pete Carroll's quote at the Combine. I was there, he said, "We have no intention of making a move there." That is not the same as we are not trading him. And I think that Pete's words were very intentional there. And everyone just kind of was like, oh, they're not trading Russ. Like, well, hold on. He didn't say that, right? And then I talked to John Schneider about 3 hours later after Pete's comments last Wednesday, and he wouldn't go as far to say that they're not trading Russell either. He said they're not shopping him, which also might not have been true. But even if that was true, that they weren't shopping him, well, okay, that doesn't mean teams aren't calling to see what's up. You're not hanging up on them, so you're negotiating. Essentially, you're listening. So I think that this was always potentially in the cards. I gave behind the scenes a little bit. I sat down Wednesday morning to write a story about where I thought the Russell situation was. And the first line, this is before any trade news, the first line was, the Seahawks don't want to trade Russell Wilson. And then the very next line was, but that doesn't mean that they won't. Right? And I wanted people to kind of understand that. Like, the odds of him getting traded were better than 0. And I feel like after the Combine, people assumed that it was 0. And I came away from the Combine thinking it was anything but.
Well, Mike, before we look ahead and what this means for the Seahawks, where there's smoke, there's fire in pro sports. So there's been some disgruntledness, if that's a word, between Russell Wilson and the Seahawks for a while. Is this a Tom Brady situation where a relationship just soured over time? Or why was this starting to be talked about as much as a year ago or earlier?
Yeah, how long was Tom there? 100 years? That's really hard to do, man. Like, 10 years is what Seattle and Russell Wilson did. And yeah, it was about time in their eyes. I think they probably could have stuck it out for another year just because, people in Seattle, they've just gotten, they can get through so much stuff, man. They went through everything from, players drag racing outside the facility. They've had to deal with domestic violence. They've had to deal with guys fighting before the Super Bowl. One of the players alleged that he almost got killed by the police in Las Vegas. They've just had infighting in general, guys not liking each other. Explosive stories in the media. They've dealt with a lot of stuff there and just kept winning. So I feel like they could have, toughed it out for another year. So I don't necessarily want to say I thought it was time, but they did. Russ kind of wanted something different, and sometimes you just do. On my podcast, the Seahawks Man to Man podcast, I made the analogy of you go to work every day and you eat a chicken sandwich, right? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday for lunch, you have a chicken sandwich. Maybe on Friday, you just want tuna, not even because tuna's better than chicken. You just want a different type of sandwich on that day. And I think that's kind of where Russ got to. He did something for 10 years. He had some success with it. He didn't get the success he wanted ultimately. He was like, all right, I'm going to try something new. And with Seattle, it kind of came to a point where, your guy wants to go. And it got to I think they got a little, not arrogant, but, in this business, because lifespans are so short with with players, what is it, 3.3 years or something, you kind of have to feel like guys are replaceable, even if they are quarterbacks, as irrational as that may sound. So I think they kind of got to a point where, all right, maybe we can't coexist and we have to feel like we can replace you. They felt like that for years. And so it just finally came to a head, yesterday.
Our viewers have some questions for you. They love the NFL talk. Ryan H. watching on YouTube says, does Mike think Pete Carroll will stick around, or will they make a change at head coach as well?
Well, you have to define who they is that would make the change. And they is really only Jody Allen, the owner of the team, right? And she also owns the Portland Trailblazers, pretty much just kind of by herself, pretty much up here in Seattle. So I don't think so. I think Pete will get this year, but I don't think it lasts much longer than that. I mean, think about the situation here in Seattle. This is really unique, right? So Pete Carroll came in 2010, basically leading a rebuild, right? That Jim Mora basically left him after the 2009 season. He successfully rebuilds, he wins a championship, and now he's basically leading the next rebuild. And that's pretty rare, man. It's a rebuild that he kind of caused. I know Russ wanted out, but Russ wanted out because of the moves that the team made or didn't make. So I don't imagine him getting to rebuild, have success, cause the need for another rebuild, and then see that one all the way through. That's just not how the NFL works. So unless they hit on unless they draft like Malik Willis or Desmond Ritter, or the Kenny Pickett kid, and one of those guys is the next Mahomes, barring like a miracle where they land another franchise quarterback right after losing one, kind of like the Colts did, going from Manning to Luck. I think that everyone in the building is basically on thin ice, because that's just how the game goes. You usually don't get to see the rebuild through if you're part of the staff that caused it.
Yeah, no kidding. Great comments, Mike. I'm enjoying this. And we do have a lot of Seahawks fans that watch Game Plus television is carried through the state of Washington and Oregon on TDS cable. So the trade is Russell Wilson and a fourth to Denver in exchange for 2 first-round picks, 2 second-round picks, a 5th-rounder, along with quarterback Drew Lock, defensive end Shelby Harris, and tight end Noah Fant, the Broncos' first-round draft pick in 2019. That is a haul. What does this do for the Seahawks, and what's the toughest division in the National Football League, the NFC West? What does this do for them?
I mean, it gives them a bunch of lottery tickets, I guess. I'm not really super high on the picks for players, immediate swap, just because everyone loves picks until they become a player that they don't like. Right? That's just kind of how it works. Everyone will love that they have to pick number 9 until Pete and John use it on what they feel is the wrong guy. Right? That happens a lot. Seattle had pick, 18 in 2018 after they missed the playoffs. They traded out of it, ended up with pick 27, took Rashad Penny, who didn't become the guy that they needed him to be until 4 years into his deal. Meanwhile, that number 18 pick they passed on ended up being Jair Alexander in the year that the Seahawks needed a cornerback because they just cut Richard Sherman, right? But heading into the draft, we got pick, 18. That's great. Same thing happened in 2019 when they traded Frank Clark to the Chiefs and got pick 29 out of that draft. So they had pick 21 and 29. And it's it's exciting. We have 2 first-round picks. Well, pick 29 ended up being LJ Collier, who no one likes, right, in Seattle. I don't mind LJ, fine guy, but he's the fan base. You Google his name right now, it'll get ugly. So I just think that right now, you call it a haul. You're right, it is a haul of picks, but that's just all it is right now. Picks don't necessarily win you games. Players win you games. And so it just gives them lottery tickets that may or may not cash. And if you look at the history of this front office in the past, 5-6 years, it's more likely than not that some of these tickets are just going to flop. And that's really scary to think about.
Well, I should ask you how this is going over in Seattle, because Russell Wilson won a Super Bowl there. He's obviously a hero, and he can put his feet up for the rest of his life. He will never buy another lunch in Seattle, I would suspect, because of that. So how's this going over in the Emerald City that he's gone?
Yeah, it depends on which kind of narrative you subscribe to. Right. And I try to do a good job of it on our latest Seahawks Man-to-Man podcast and with the story we just dropped on The Athletic with me and my coworkers, Mike Sando and Jason Jenks, is that, on one hand, Seattle, you can tell, kind of wants to frame this behind the scenes as that Russell Wilson won it out. And that's true. He did. But you can also tell that on Russell's side, behind the scenes, they want to frame it as the Seahawks didn't want him anymore, which is also true. But it's not just either or, it's both. And I think, but if you subscribe to only one of those, like if you subscribe to the idea that Russell just won it out, well, then you're pretty upset with Russell today, because it's not like he's played like super well the past year and a half to just kind of dip out on the franchise, But if you subscribe to the notion that like, oh, wait a minute, man, Pete Carroll and John Schneider chose themselves over Russell Wilson, a top 5 quarterback right now, at a time when teams are talking themselves into Mitch Trubisky and Marcus Mariota. What is wrong with those guys? So it just depends on where it's a divide based on narrative, which is why I'm trying to like operate in the middle and show people that it was both. This was a mutual divorce, and there's plenty of blame to assign to both sides.
Yeah, I believe it's never mutual. I hear that. I just don't think it ever is. But, Mike, this has been awesome. Where can people, the Seahawks fans obviously know they follow you, but for everybody else, where can they follow your stuff?
You can follow me on Twitter at Mike Dugar. That's MikeDugar. My author page that links straight to The Athletic is always in my bio. I always pin the latest episode of our Seahawks Man to Man podcast at the top of my Twitter page. So essentially, my Twitter is just a one-stop shop for all the ways you can find my content.
Great job, Mike. I appreciate the time and filling in so quickly, and have a great day out there in Seattle.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Mike Dugar from The Athletic Seattle and, as he said, the Seahawks Man-to-Man podcast. On the way after the break, Dr. David Legg will join us, MRU professor and the past president of the Canadian Paralympic Committee. A few things to mention. March Madness is coming, and we ask you to join the RP Show's March Madness bracket, and you could win some great prizes from the show and our partners. Just visit our social media channels and sign up or click the link in the live YouTube chat right now. Clark will put it up there. Just 8 days left to enter now. Selection Sunday is March 13th. That's this Sunday. Games will start 1 week from Friday. And by the way, the BCLA is the best continental professional basketball league in the Americas, and it's coming to Calgary March 14th to the 16th live at WinSport Arena. The top leagues in the Americas are represented, including the CEBL champion Edmonton Stingers. Tickets are on sale now at cebl.ca. That is the league's official website, cebl.ca. March 14th to the 16th. We'll see you at WinSport Arena. Again, as I mentioned, it's been a little bit of a tornado today. Theo tends to do that, right? So we didn't get to our NHL top 5 and bottom 5, but we're going to do that right now. Are you ready, Clark? We got it. Every Wednesday we do it with the RP Show as designated by the host. And you let me know when you're ready to go. As a matter of fact, I am. Number 1 team in the National Hockey League, despite stubbing their toe last night in New Jersey, is the Colorado Avalanche. They got the most wins in the NHL at 41 and the best winning percentage at 750. Second best team in the NHL is the Carolina Hurricanes, officially now the number 1 team in the East. Number 3 team, the Florida Panthers, officially tied with Carolina and an NHL leading plus-minus at plus 70 and the most power play goals in the league. That's hot, even for Florida. Number 4 team in the NHL is the Calgary Flames. Number 1 in the Pacific, and oddly, more road wins than home wins, and I think that'll bode them well in these Stanley Cup playoffs. And number 5, the 5th best team in the National Hockey League is the Tampa Bay Lightning. The three-peat dream is alive, and they visit Calgary Thursday night. So let's settle this once and for all. Who's better, Lightning or Flames? Shades of 2004 coming up Thursday night. The bottom 5. Number 28, the Buffalo Sabres. They still can't win for losing. Number 29, the Chicago Blackhawks. Sellers at the deadline with the number 1 prize in the flower. Don't screw it up. Number 30, the Montreal Canadiens. 3rd worst team in the NHL. I can't bear to put them last, especially how they're playing under Martin St. Louis. Number 31, the Seattle Kraken. Last place in the Pacific and not getting better. And unfortunately, number 32, the worst team in the NHL, remains the Arizona Coyotes. Poor Andre Tourigny, saddled with this. That is our NHL top 5 and bottom 5. Dr. David Legg joins us next. We're live from Grey Eagle Resort and Casino on Game Plus Television, live streaming on YouTube and 24-hour sports radio at rodpeterson.com.
Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now. You gotta subscribe. Click the subscribe button for all the content you may have missed.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
People donate blood for moments like this.
But there are lots of reasons why Canada's Lifeline needs donors every day.
Like the fact that someone with leukemia can need up to 8 units of blood a week.
Or that donated blood lasts no longer than 42 days.
Or to help new moms and babies, like Henry.
There's lots of reasons to donate blood. That's why we need donors every day.
The need for blood is constant. Join Toyota and our Toyota dealers in supporting Canada's Lifeline.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Lot of sun, smoky in the air, that's a lot of time. Big time, big time, big time, big time.
A new year means a new you. Pick up a new ride to match at Capital Ford for 2022. Custom order the perfect vehicle for you, or check out our in-stock F-150s on the lot right now. Get into a pre-owned vehicle that's already on the lot and ready to roll. We need your used vehicle too. We pay big and you don't even have to buy from us. Plus, our service department is always here to help. Get special pricing on name brand tires, tire storage, maintenance, and more. And we always offer free vehicle pickup and delivery. Start the new year right at Capital Ford Lincoln in Regina.
Comfort has always been something we as people strive for. It means that the places we live and work, and that the people we care most about, are able to go about their lives focusing on the things that matter. Our focus at FlameTech has remained the same for more than 20 years. Now more than ever, we need each other to support our local businesses. As an industry leader in combustion services, we are proud to attend to the needs of our communities and support the local economy.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
We're live from Grey Eagle Resort and Casino, situated now on the stage bar after a month in the event center, and it's just been fantastic. Always lots going on the RP show. And before we get to our next guest, the text line is open. You can always reach us here at 902-518-3033. The number is on the screen. Ron Thompson's watching in Calgary on Game Plus Television. He says, how can the NHL Hall of Fame not see what an awesome person Theo Fleury is and how hard he works to correct his wrongdoings and continues to improve so many other people's lives? He'll be inducted at some point. I certainly hope that he will be. It's the biggest snub in any Hall of Fame as far as I'm concerned. Unfortunately, that's hockey in the bad way. It has its warts. Norm Fong, the Hall of Fame equipment manager of the Saskatchewan Roughriders, speaking of Hall of Famers watching, he says, Rod, great interview with Theo. Dan McCabe's watching in the Queen City. He says, morning RP show. Great interview. I could listen to you and Theo for hours. Here's my complaint. I know hockey's crazy big in Canada, but how many hours, days, weeks do we need to talk about trade deadline, the possibility of players being traded? It's the way it is, bro. Have you heard of ESPN? Have you heard of NFL Network? It's what we do. It's like me asking for pizza on the buffet here. We'll do the talking, you do the watching. They do the cooking, I do the eating. Dan says, I'm glad the RP show doesn't spend too much time on this topic. I get it. You hear our next guest giggling. I'm going to get into him in a second. Just a sports update before we go any further. Where do we start? Canada hauled in another 3 medals at the Beijing Paralympics. Brian McKeever of Canmore, Alberta, claimed his 15th gold with a win in the men's vision-impaired cross-country skiing sprint, while Natalie Wilkie of Salmon Arm, BC, won gold in women's sprint standing para cross-country. Bracebridge, Ontario's Colin Cameron captured bronze in the men's sprint sitting para cross-country race. Canada has won 16 medals in Beijing, trailing only China with 31 and Ukraine with 19. Alex Ovechkin and the Washington Capitals continue their tour of Western Canada with a stop in Edmonton tonight. Ovi scored twice last night in a 5-4 decision over the Calgary Flames and was booed every time he touched the puck. Third straight win for Washington. Oilers, meanwhile, have lost 3 in a row. Elsewhere tonight, the Montreal Canadiens visit the Vancouver Canucks. Vancouver's won 5 of its last 6. The sports update for Ballers Rec Room. Check out our brand new line of games, and for the Tap Brewhouse and Drive-Thru Liquor Store. Also, Red Bull Canada. Red Bull gives you wings. Well, I'm very excited to welcome our next guest, Dr. David Legg, MRU professor, past president, Canadian Paralympic Committee. And what you probably don't know, Doctor, first of all, welcome to the RP Show. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much for having me here.
This is a awesome, fun little thing, hey?
This is amazing. This is incredible.
It is incredible, yes. And I'm MRC alum.
I knew that. Yeah,
Come on, how did you know? Nobody knows that.
Lee told me.
Ah, there you go.
I know these
He's a man about town. You are a professor of?
Health and physical education.
Oh, so I'd have been in your area.
That's right. And I teach more specifically sport management and then adapted physical activity, so sport and recreation for people with disabilities.
That sounds like a lot of fun.
I love it. It's I do. I've been at Mount Royal for 25 years now. What's the cliche line? Haven't worked a day in my life. Like I do. I love it. Love it.
I love it. Well, and a 9-iron for you to get over here too, right? That's the thing. So number one,
that's where I look from. Where are my students? Oh.
And do you live close by the campus?
I used to live in Glamorgan. My wife and I moved our 3 sons out to Cochrane about 10, 15 years ago.
Well, that's not too bad either. And that's close.
Yeah.
Sure. It's funny because here at Grey Eagle, we've been here for a month and we're going to be here for some time. And we're living here. I come down to the buffet. I'm like, this feels like dorm at Mount Royal back in the day. So much fun. Obviously, we're having a lot of fun. Paralympics, though.
Yeah.
Past president of the committee, Canadian Committee. So you're following what's going on very closely over there.
Yeah, well, it's a fascinating games, both from the geopolitical perspective, right? I mean, Russia invades Ukraine following the Olympic Games. And this pattern seems to be repeating itself because the same thing happened in 2014 during the Sochi Games. So Russia invaded the Crimea Peninsula following the Olympic Games while the Paralympic Games were taking place. So, again, 8 years later, the same pattern repeats itself. And just fascinating stories, right? The International Paralympic Committee initially agrees to allow athletes from Belarus and Russia to compete and participate, but not under their flags. And then 24 hours later, they decide to ban them outright. And then in addition to that, the team from Ukraine, which you just mentioned is actually second in the medal tally right now, wasn't sure they were even going to be able to get there, but obviously did, and is doing just extremely well. So some really interesting storylines there. Canada right now third in the medal tally. Some people, do you remember back when you used to have hockey pools when Wayne Gretzky was playing for the Oilers?
You wouldn't allow him.
You wouldn't allow Gretzky to even be part of it. Well, some people are a little bit like that with China now. They are just so strong and so good that, you just kind of, it's almost a foregone conclusion that they're going to win the medal tally. So you don't kind of include them anymore.
Yeah. Wildest thing, though, Catriona Lemaidon was down here. I say it that way because I finally learned.
It's the Scottish. That's right.
That's what she said. Catriona Lemaidon. And you know what her role was, chef de mission for Canada in the Olympics. And she said she doesn't count medals. Like she literally doesn't. And I thought, what a way of looking at it. Had you ever looked at it that way?
Well, and I think I understand her perspective on it. I mean, it's the individual athlete's journey. I mean, the fact that they're just competing at the world stage and at the world level is probably in and of itself just an amazing and, you know, a meaningful accomplishment. However, this is how we judge ourselves. The world measures itself based on the different metrics, whether it's number of gold medals won, whether it's number of medals won. You know, our funding system, right or wrong in a Canadian national sport context, is based on how you perform at the international level. So, you know, metrics matter, but I'm also not going to disagree with Catriona insofar as that, you know, each individual athlete's journey there in and of itself is just a fantastic story and a fantastic accomplishment.
You know, it's interesting, though, because 20 years in the CFL here, that's how I got to know Lee. 17 years in major junior hockey. And what I've realized through the pandemic is the fans just want to watch the games. They don't want to know what's going on behind the scenes, i.e., you want to eat the hot dog, you don't want to see how you make the hot dog, right? And I just wonder for the Olympics and Paralympics, how stressful is it with global unrest? Like you say, this isn't new, what we're dealing with right now with Ukraine and Russia. How stressful is that on a committee to send your athletes over and maybe host the games?
Oh, it's incredibly stressful and complicated and complex and gray. And, you know, so even the decision that the IPC had to make, I mean, that they rescinded within 24 hours because of pressure, I believe, from athletes and various national Paralympic committees that were pressuring and saying, well, if you're not going to ban them, then we're not coming. Or sponsors. I mean, perhaps it was the international sponsors like a Toyota or saying, you know, again saying, we don't support this. And if you're not pulling out, then potentially our sponsorship. I'm not saying that that's what happened, but that could have been some of the conversations and scenarios that take place behind the scenes that then lead to what people are seeing insofar as the athletes playing. I would disagree, though. I think people love talking about
I do.
The behind the scenes.
I do, but I just get the sense that most, you and I do, obviously.
Yeah, maybe I'm biased. Maybe I'm naive to what the general public wants, but I love thinking about the permutations, the complexities, the issues that need to be discussed in order for the game to take place. And these Paralympics taking place in Beijing are no small matter, right? I mean, just even the weather piece of it and the snow and ensuring that there's proper playing atmospheres, the complexity as it relates to the accessibility side of things. Again, it's one thing to provide an opportunity for a number of able-bodied athletes who perhaps are able to easily get off and on buses, but it's another thing then when you're trying to transport entire groups of individuals who may need to use wheelchairs or have visual impairments. And I love that side of it. And then the legacy piece of it, where an entire society, an entire community now is more attuned to perhaps some of those behind-the-scenes issues that really do challenge us to run the sporting event itself.
Well, God bless people like you and the leaders that want to do that. I mean, I lead in my own way in another segment of life, but it's like you just got through COVID, if you got through COVID, because China's still locked down, from what I understand. And then this. With the Ukraine and Russia. I mean, so...
Well, and Calgary has hosted a couple of bubbles, quote unquote, when we did the curling events. Again, the complexity and the sophistication and just the administrivia that needs to take place in a context that we're talking about here to ensure that athletes are safe, both from a performance perspective, but also as it relates to COVID. It's just got to be overwhelming. And I have a couple of friends and colleagues who are on the ground, both during the Olympic Games and now in the Paralympic Games. And it is, for them, a really interesting lens on how these games are so different. Obviously Tokyo was similar, but prior to that in Pyeongchang and Rio de Janeiro and even Sochi and in London, the differences in the ways that athletes are able to move more freely from one venue to the next. Having to run the opening ceremonies in a certain way to ensure that there's not a transmission of the COVID virus. Like it's fascinating, actually, the length that organizers have to go to in order to run these events.
We talk about those athletes. You mentioned the challenges involved in transportation and so forth, but how important it is to the athletes. It's so much fun to watch.
I've had a chance to go to a number of Paralympic Games as an administrator in a variety of different capacities. And they truly are a remarkable event. And in many respects, they become the opportunity for the host city and the host country to really participate. In, quote unquote, a normal Olympic Paralympic year, the ticket prices are just so outrageous that the, quote unquote, regular person, particularly locals, aren't able to visit the venues, aren't able to purchase tickets to the marquee events. But in a Paralympic context, the ticket prices are significantly
lower.
They're less expensive. And so you see the community, you see school groups, you see the local host city kind of reveling in, we did this, and we get to actually experience it, and we get to celebrate it. It's unfortunate, again, in a Beijing, in a North China context, they're not probably able to do that today. But the transportation and the athletes, like part of the experience is being able to go see your peers compete and being able to go celebrate with your friends and colleagues in different sports. And that's been taken away from them a little bit. And so I feel badly for those athletes where, Brian McKeever, who you mentioned, this is his 6th game. So, he's had other opportunities. But if you're a new Paralympic athlete and this is your first games, I hope they stick around long enough so that they get to go to Italy in 2026 and get that sense of an athlete's village, being able to celebrate with your peers, being able to connect and socialize and just meet other people from different teams. That to me is really a sad, now again, maybe that's a first world problem in today's kind of current landscape, but nonetheless, it's still unfortunate that they're not able to kind of get that full experience.
Yes, and I just think about, again, Katriana had some strong thoughts on Russia being banned. She says they should have been banned long before this Ukraine invasion because of doping and all the rest.
Yeah.
And it's the athletes that I feel terrible for because of the work that's gone in.
Yeah, there's no question about it. Well, listen, you go back to the Salt Lake City Games in 2002, Lee, when you were involved, the figure skating scandal as it related to the judging with Jamie Salé and David Pelche. I mean, Russia was, complicit in that. The doping scandal, the film Icarus, which highlights that. And then the 2 invasions that took place in between the 2 games. Yeah, I would agree with Katrina. Like, this should have happened a long time ago. At the same time, I say that without being behind closed doors and knowing what's actually happening with some of these decisions. And so I don't want to come across because I don't fully understand the complexities.
That doesn't stop most people, David. Right?
Yeah, fair enough. However, knowing what I know, I would agree with Katrina. I think that the ban should have taken place and should have been more fulsome 10 years ago.
You're good with it. Yeah. Well, lastly, go ahead. Yeah.
But at the same time, though, that doesn't mean that I'm not empathetic or feel badly for those athletes who are not supportive of their government and are the collateral damage in all of this, and that they don't get to compete at a world stage simply because they are Russian citizens. Now, this is a complicated one because you were talking about Ovechkin, I think, earlier, and getting booed last night here in Calgary. I mean, we don't boo our own Russian hockey player.
I noticed that. Vladar wasn't, Zadorov, yeah.
So, it's complicated and it's gray, but that's why it makes good conversation in a talk talk show format, right? Is it's not black and white, and so I feel there probably are many athletes for Belarus and Russia who are not supportive of Putin or supportive of the invasion of Ukraine, but are now being told that you can't compete because you are a citizen of that country. My impression would be is that that's a collateral damage, though, that is necessary in this instance. I think in the past what's happened is that governing bodies have made those allowances because of that, and they haven't taken the hard stand and said, no, you can't participate. I'm in agreement with what the IPC has decided and said, no, you're not coming, but we are not naive to that this may punish some people unfairly, but you're still not coming.
And just lastly, before I let you go, put the Mount Royal hat on. U Sports in Canada West has survived COVID, and it seems stronger than ever. I see some big crowds for events here, and with the national volleyball coming up, it's at the U of C.
That's right.
This spring, it looks like it's rocking again.
Oh, it is so nice to be back watching my student athletes participate. And Mount Royal's had a great year. If I can speak on behalf of Mount Royal, our men's hockey team just lost to UBC on Sunday night, 2-1. Our women's hockey team lost to the University of Saskatchewan.
Tight games,
and one. And the second game was in overtime. Our women's volleyball team is the only one that's still left playing. They're playing this weekend against U of C and UBC in the qualifiers with the hopes, fingers crossed, that they make the national championships, which are, as you mentioned, are being held at the University of Calgary in March. Interesting side story that one of the premier players on the women's volleyball team is a young lady from Ukraine. Ukraine, whose mom and dad are still there, and she's trying to manage and deal with the fact that, you know, she's connecting with her parents, trying to make sure that they're safe, at the same time trying to be a student and also be a student athlete that's going to be competing, hopefully, again, fingers crossed, in the national championships in 2 weeks' time. These have, you know, the stories that we talk about have impact on the individual level and on the, you know, the micro level. They're not always just kind of things that are happening out there that we don't have a connection to.
Well, this has been fascinating. I appreciate you coming down, and thank you, David, for all you do for sport.
My absolute pleasure.
All right,
Great being
Dr.
here.
David Legg from Mount Royal University. We'll be back. We've got more sports to update. We'll talk about that morning draw at the Briar, viewer takeover. Plenty to come. We're live from Grey Eagle Resort and Casino, the Stage Bar specifically, and you're watching on Game Plus television, carried all across Alberta and BC on TELUS Optic Cable. We're also live streaming on YouTube and 24-hour sports radio at rodpeterson.com.
Head to youtube.com/The Rod Peterson Show now. You gotta subscribe. Click the subscribe button for all the content you may have missed.
Grey Eagle Resort and Casino.
Comfort has always been something we, as people, strive for. It means that the places we live and work, and that the people we care most about, are able to go about their lives focusing on the things that matter. Our focus at FlameTech has remained the same for more than 20 years. Now more than ever, we need each other to support our local businesses. As an industry leader in combustion services, we are proud to attend to the needs of our communities and support the local economy.
Bronco Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Experts in all residential and commercial plumbing services, and proudly serving Regina and area since 1978. Bronco Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. We'll treat you right.
A legend throws 713 yards in a single pro football game.
A legend wins 3 Grey Cup MVP awards.
Allen looking deep. A legend scores 1,209 points in 1,127 NHL games. Play among legends at betregal.net.
Alice Cooper, the godfather of shock rock, is back. With special guest Buck Cherry. Mosaic Place, Sunday, April 10th. Get tickets now at mosaicplace.ca and sasktix.ca.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. BDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
A new year means a new you. Pick up a new ride to match at Capital GMC for 2022. Custom order the perfect vehicle for you, or reserve a unit that's already on its way. Get into a GM certified pre-owned vehicle that's on our lot and ready to roll. We need your used vehicle too. We pay big and you don't even have to buy from us. Plus, our service department is always here to help. Get special pricing on name brand tires, tire storage, maintenance, and more. And we always offer free vehicle pickup and delivery. Start the new year right at Capital GMC in Regina.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Peterson Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Peterson Show today.
Morning breaks in the gateway to the foothills. The RP show continues from Grey Eagle Resort and Casino, Calgary's entertainment destination. So it's just you and me. I never even did mention where the Moose is. He's gone to Phoenix. Just left this morning. I assume he got away fine. I haven't heard from him. Super Bowl, as you know, is in Glendale next year. So Moose is going down there to do some business and get everything all set up, and we're going to handle it here from Grey Eagle, which is just fine. But I'm going to turn it over to the viewers earlier now. That's you. And I'll get to the text line in a second, but Ryland is watching in Seattle, and if somewhere I got to go and find where it is. Ryland in Seattle says, does Ovechkin even care about getting booed? I know I wouldn't. He says, I admit I just got here. Not sure how Ovechkin getting booed was even a topic. Are you saying that it shouldn't have been a topic? Oh, man, right. You can't just walk into the middle of the coffee session and take over the discussion. You have no idea what we've been talking about. Theo Fleury was with us for most of hour one. Of 1,084 NHL games, of 1,088 NHL points. As Theo said, what does Ovi have to do with Russia invading Ukraine? Why boo the guy? And if you really want to know my take, go to rodpedersen.com right now. It's the commentary up. I don't feel like I don't want to go back remedially and catch you up. So how does he feel about being booed? How have you been booed? Doesn't feel good. I have many times. Probably will by the end of today, Lee. Doesn't feel good. Who likes to be booed? Come on. And I think it was not a real Calgary thing to do. And now you guys are getting into Trump and Putin. Yeah, we don't do that here, and you know that, Ryland. You've watched enough of this show before. A lot of our viewers are thanking Dr. David Legg for his work in the sports community. Thank you for Tacona for pointing that out. We've got updates from the morning draw at the Tim Hortons Briar. Let's not forget about that. I think they're all off the ice now. Saskatchewan's Colton Flash beating Team Yukon 12-3. Flash goes to 4-2. Yukon falls to 1-5. I continue to wonder why Yukon sends a team. Brendan Botcher winning again. He goes to 6-0. He handed Team Wildcard 2, Team Dunstone, his first loss. 8-7 was the score. Canada over Dunstone 6-1. Sorry, 8-7. Dunstone's now 6-1. And of course, if Dunstone wins this whole thing, Saskatchewan's Briar drought is over. And not even a debate. New Brunswick's Grattan over PEI's Smith 9-3. So New Brunswick goes to 2-5. PEI goes to 1-5. And Glenn Howard got a big win. He represents Ontario in this whole shebang. They beat Newfoundland 7-3. So the morning draw is off the ice. Everything's on the table. Whatever you'd like to talk about. Again, Moose is not here, but we're going to bring Lee in the next couple of days. Ryland says, I get booed every time I walk into the Memorial Coliseum in Portland. Because you're a Thunderbirds fan. Big deal. It's not the same as 17,000 people in the Saddle Dome booing Ovi. Which, to be fair, Bob, it wasn't everybody. You and I weren't. But it was audible. Again, RP, the one fish swimming upstream. So maybe I'm in the wrong. You don't see me booing anybody. As my dad always said, cheer as loud as you want for your own team. Don't boo the other team. It's not right. Maybe that's just us. Ryan McCarthy, watching in Saratoga, New York right now, says, when the day comes when people start booing me at my job, that's the day I'll start booing any player. It's just not a Calgary thing to do. Would you agree, Lee? It doesn't seem right. That's all. And again, Ovi has nothing to do with Russia invading Ukraine. And we could sit and talk about it for hours, like as Dr. David Legg just said. There are Russian players on the Flames, specifically Zadorov, that skyscraper defenseman. There are 4 Russians on the Capitals, but the naysayers who say, yeah, but they weren't photographed arm in arm with Putin. Yeah, they don't follow Putin on Twitter. I follow Justin Trudeau on Twitter, and I think he's a goof. Doesn't mean I like him. I've never voted Liberal in my life, but I follow him on Twitter. I follow people I don't like on Twitter. What does that mean that Ovi follows Putin? Newsflash, social media isn't real. Okay? It's not. Anyways, I never did quite finish up. As a matter of fact, what I'll do is I'll take a break here, come back for overtime, and we do have MLB lockout stuff to talk about. Not for long, trust me, but there's news you should know. And a very big game for the Raptors tonight in San Antonio. We have some CEBL news, so hang on. We'll talk about that when we come back and whatever else you would like to discuss. It is the RP Show, and you are watching live from Grey Eagle Resort and Casino on Game Plus Television, YouTube live streaming, and of course, if you missed any portion of the show, you can catch the podcast wherever you enjoy your favorite podcasts, including Apple, Stitcher, and Spotify.
Have you subscribed to the Rod Pedersen Show YouTube channel yet? Head to youtube.com/The Rod Pedersen Show now.
Lot of sun, smoky in the air, that's a lot of pine. Big time, big time, big time, big time.
A new year means a new you. Pick up a new ride to match at Capital Ford for 2022. Custom order the perfect vehicle for you, or check out our in-stock F-150s on the lot right now. Get into a pre-owned vehicle that's already on the lot and ready to roll. We need your used vehicle too. We pay big and you don't even have to buy from us. Plus, our service department is always here to help. Get special pricing on name brand tires, tire storage, maintenance, and more. And we always offer free vehicle pickup and delivery. Start the new year right at Capital Ford Lincoln in Regina. Universal Collision Center is Saskatchewan's premier auto body shop. Our extensive process ensures that every vehicle that comes through our state-of-the-art facilities is returned pre-accident condition, and that every UCC customer experience is an easy one. We're certified to repair all makes, all models, and all luxury brands, and Universal Auto Spa offers full-service detailing packages to suit you and your vehicle. Plus, we're the official body shop of your Saskatchewan Rough Riders. Universal Collision Center, 3910 Rochdale Boulevard and 2355 First Avenue in Regina.
Don't rack your brain trying to source the equipment and materials you need for your business. Rockstar can operate your entire supply chain, from PO creation to expediting your shipments, all from our office. Leverage the buying power of the Rockstar buying group to not only save money and time, but also the headache. From gloves to glue, we can provide it for you. Find out more at rockstar.com.
Grey Eagle Resort and Casino.
Legend throws 713 yards in a single pro football game.
A legend wins 3 Grey Cup MVP awards.
Allen looking deep. A legend scores 1,209 points in 1,127 NHL games. Play among legends at betregal.net.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
It is overtime. It's overtime. It is brought to you by the Four Seasons Sports Palace, your home for the UFC and the National Hockey League. Well, As I just said to our live studio audience here in the break at Grey Eagle, that's the one thing about me. That's why I have the show. I can't bite my lip like some people. And Theo can't bite his lip like some people, but that's what makes us entertaining. That's why we have a show. It's hard to go on the air for 2 hours every day and not say anything or not take a side or a stand. So anyways, and that's, we're talking about Ovi here. Todd Mogie's watching in Winnipeg. He says, well said, Roddy, go Ovi. And how about those Jets last night? They just continue to tease you, don't they? That they're going to be a team that could make the playoffs and actually make some noise. They sure looked the part last night. A lot of goals scored last night in the NHL. Jennifer's watching at the Four Seasons. She says, well, we'll see what happens tonight in Edmonton. Hoping Oiler fans will do the right thing. And that is not boo Alex Ovechkin. As we say again, it seemed very un-Calgary-like to pull that with Ovi last night. And one more from Ryland in Seattle. He says, can we talk about Alice Cooper coming to town? I know, right? My mind is blown. I've seen these commercials for Mosaic Place and Moose Jaw. Did we add them? I didn't know that Mosaic Place is on the team, on the RP Show team, and Alice Cooper's coming to town?
How about
How did that not come up in our morning meetings? Yeah. It's all news to me. That's right. To the jaw. I'll get to the text line in a minute, but I mentioned sports update. Where did it go? MLB. Negotiators for locked out players and Major League Baseball owners spent 16 and a half hours bargaining, then recessed talks until this morning as Commissioner Rob Manfred let his deadline to reach a deal preserving a 162-game season pass. Shortly after 3 a.m. on the 98th day of the lockout, MLB said no additional games had been canceled and talks will continue. And back to that, Ryland is in Seattle, a Major League Baseball market, and he says, lifelong hardcore MLB fan, they have been slowly losing me for the last decade. DH in the NFL, in the NL is pushing me even further away from the game. There's just so much going on that I don't really miss it. The Blue Jays were supposed to play the Detroit Tigers today, but it's been canceled. We focus on who is playing, and the Toronto Raptors are back on the court tonight in Texas against the San Antonio Spurs. Spurs coach Greg Popovich is just one victory away from becoming the NBA's all-time winningest coach. Wouldn't it be very Toronto-like to be the team he beats to set the record? Okay? For the Spurs. Popovich tied Don Nelson's NBA record with his 1,335th career victory in the Spurs' 117-110 win over the Lakers on Monday. Maybe tomorrow I'll tell you guys about the game that I went to in San Antonio with Snoop Dogg. Remember that one, Clark? The Lakers and Spurs? Snoop Dogg and I went, Bob. Yeah, that too. That's right. Snoop Dogg was sitting courtside. I was up in the nosebleeds, but we were in the arena at the same time. I was there with him. Raptors have lost 3 in a row. The Niagara River Lions announced today the signing of Canadian forward Alonzo Walker. The 6'6" forward from Brampton, Ontario, will join the team for the 2022 CEBL season after playing overseas for BC Prievidza of the Slovakian League. This sports update for dubnetwork.ca, your number one source for Western Hockey League breaking news and analysis. Visit today, dubnetwork.ca. And for Ben Cahoon's G2G protein bars, now with 8 amazing flavors, including my favorite, almond coconut. RP Show viewers get 20% off with the promo code RP Show. Order yours now at g2gbars.ca. You see me fiddling with my computer here because with Moose gone, I need to do a little more tap dancing on my own. So I'll go to the text line here regarding all the stuff that we've talked about today. Randy in the Peg is watching, and he says, I agree. I feel sorry for Russian athletes. But if your country is known for cheating and you keep doing it, you're out. It's a big topic, isn't it, guys? That you kick Russia out of the World Juniors, for instance. What's my favorite sport? Hockey. You have all these young junior age players been training their whole life to play in the World Juniors. For some, that's their big moment, and then you can't because your country went and invaded a neighbor. Doesn't seem fair. but I'm not going to stand in the way of the idea either. It just sucks all around. Can we agree on that? Jeff Caldwell, watching in Redmond, Oregon, says, I've been a Seahawks fan since 1976. The rebuilding Russell Wilson trade doesn't bother me as much as them giving up 2 first-round picks for Jamal Adams just 2 years ago. Interesting debate as to who won that trade. That's our poll question today for Capital Auto Mall Universal Collision Center. Who won the trade? The Denver Broncos or the Seattle Seahawks? Basically, Russell Wilson and a 4th-round pick for half the team in Denver. That's a little facetious, but it's right around 50-50. It's very hard to pick a winner on that, especially 24 hours after the trade was made. But if you saw Michael Irvin on SportsCenter, he's saying Denver too. He's saying this immediately makes the Denver Broncos a contender because they have the quarterback. Last minute of play in the RP show. It's going by fast. Larry is watching in Medicine Hat on Game Plus TV, and he says, here I thought the Vikings would win the NFC North, but alas, Aaron Rodgers decides to stay in Green Bay. Yeah, what a day in the NFL. And, back to Michael Irvin. If you saw his clip on SportsCenter, he said, NFL, not for long. What he meant in this instance was the offseason, not for long. They're back in business in the NFL. And the other leagues, quiet. Anyways, that's it. I want to thank Theo Fleury, Mike Dugar, the Athletic Seattle, Dr. David Legg, our live studio audience here at Grey Eagle. We'll see you tomorrow with another star-studded edition at noon Eastern right here on Game Plus TV.
You prick!
How about that? Spicy. I like it. Hot take, Bob's your uncle. Approved. Let's go. Bingo. Right on. Oh.